I'll use the word super a lot. Look at, I'm just thinking about something, hold on. Look at the date when that was sent. And then what happened after the phone call that you got. Yeah. And how there was a charge building. Yeah. My sister, or late sister, is a narcissistic sociopath. And her job basically would be indistinguishable from a cult. And impressive in a way, given where she's come from. And she's never really been in an occult group per se, but she did get a degree in education, which she seems to have parlayed into treating the world like she's some kind of child psychologist. I don't know how she's done it. She's even appeared on TV, introduced almost as though a child psychologist or an expert on young girls. An expert with a degree, an undergraduate degree in education, and maybe a master's, which is nothing. As a view, it's worth as much as a treat in a Cracker Jack box. You know, that and a Subway token could get me somewhere. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything. Good, good on you. But like, I write a master's fucking thesis document every fucking 12 hours. You know what I mean? So who gives a fuck? The point is what are you really doing? And when it comes to anything sartorial or grammatical, form is great as long as it doesn't ape your voice. And those are the two I would tell any student of literature or creative writing. Form is great, and it's your best friend, and you certainly can't do without it. But when it apes your voice, it's the cancer of the human voice. You know, and the person who takes form over voice becomes a cannibal and wastes my time. I would rather you just screamed on the page for 5,000 days and start telling me exactly who you fucking really are. Tell me what the voice, the truth, the song on the lips of spring is really for you right now. Tell me what deep, dark thing slouches over the east and wants to come right out of your bones and kill you like leukemia. That's called the world, or growing up, or the military-industrial complex. Tell me you have some truly deep, dark thoughts. Tell me that dark obsidian sludge and bituminous shit doesn't run through your veins now and then, because it gets in there. It gets in there for all of us. If you can't go down and start scraping it out, then your boat is going to sink, my friend. And your mind is going to be like a fucking iceberg. And all you're going to know is that teeny tiny cold tip that freezes everything it touches. You know? By the time your mind warps up, it's going to be one with everything. You know what I mean? So it's important to stay human. That it's, I have the same advantage in the study of my sister you would have if you lived with a psychic or spiritualist or Tai Chi teacher or something, or a professor or someone who, you know, for whom children and other people think they're just a wonderful delight, and you see them as their roommate, who's like a closet alcoholic and has solved all of their difficult primal fears and problems by projecting wells of profitable spiritual jargon into hapless fucking victims with too much money and too little happiness. And you see what happens in between, right? And the people that come over and their friends and everything. And it's, you know, it's like those hippies in the 70s that found a plane crashed with hundreds of bags of primo weed, but didn't give a fuck about the dead bodies of the men who had died in that crash, flying this precious, luxurious cargo into the middle of nowhere so one of their girlfriends could tell them where it was and they could go and loot it. No mention of the people who lost their lives flying that plane, right? The gods who must be crazy that favored them that day, and finding their families and notifying them, which you think would be another part of the video, but no. There's tons of weed, man. That's all we need to focus on. There's tons of weed. Tons of weed indeed. And what does that story tell you? Deprived of its more human empathy. Are the people watching it empaths? Who are sensitive people? For whom the world is a difficult place? listening to your thoughts about my life. It's not disabled. Sometimes my need to piss is painful. Not painful, just like, wow, a lot of pressure. I don't work well under pressure. And apparently nor does my penis. Under pressure. So it should be a pretty good day. If you'd like to follow along. At this point we should have a song. An intro song. Follow along, the man in the woods. He uses words no one understood, but that's okay because he's just gay. Not really, but that's funny. I'm not joking about it because I'm secretly gay. I'm not really gay. But now I'm saying I'm not gay so much it almost seems like I'm gay. Maybe I'm gay. Okay, I'm gay. Because I'm gay. But actually, that would be a lie. Gay people would be wholly misinformed. And now I've offended all the gay people by being gay. And I'm not really gay. So we've gone too far the other way. Oh, damn it. I'm not sure what to call myself. Well, I'm just a little gay, but not in that way. Somebody needs to sodomize me. Why do I automatically put myself in the receiver position? You know? I mean, am I the guy that huts the ball or the guy that catches the ball and then puts it between the uprights and becomes a completely heterosexual male? That's it. What if football is about feeling a little bit gay, reaching between a guy's legs, grabbing one of his balls, molding it to look a little bit more like a vagina, and then throwing it between two giant legs and dancing like you're having an orgasm that doesn't involve any alimony? I think that's it. I've discovered what football is really about. Dun, 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 dun. Bum, bum, bum. Welcome to my channel, where the feet of dogs follow you in the sand. But one day, the dog's feet isn't there beside you anymore. And you're looking at this picture on the day of graduation going, where the fuck is my dog's trail? Whoa, how much weed did I smoke? Your teacher taps you on the shoulder and says, those times in your life when your dog won't be with you because they don't live a very long time, you know, or compared to their world, you're like a superhuman, super dog. Then you're going to be by yourself and you're not going to have a dog. And you might think about getting a new one, but it's not the same. And it just makes you want to well up with tears. And so you walk by yourself. And over there, where you stopped for a moment, I watched you playing with yourself. And that dog came up to you in the spirit world, but you didn't notice them and said, hey, now we're talking. Woo, I'm feeling goofy. And you could have discovered something that would help the whole human race to connect to their departed animal friends by going someplace nice and playing with themselves. Because the more you became like an animal, the more animals in heaven wanted to play with you. And who would be the first in line? But old Fifi, or Rover, or Bobo. But make sure they don't use it as a chew toy. That hurts, even if it's coming from another realm. Although some of you may like that kind of thing. Put some peanut butter and they'll love you forever. But no, truly, my son, when those tracks you were all by yourself, it was then that I carried you. You see, those aren't your feet. My feet are bigger than yours. You should have paid closer attention. What do you think happened? I took over the burden of lifting your enormous, flatulent, globulous body. All those years when you were doing the Atkins diet. You know, I carried you, man. It's like, you were like floating on air. You were like, ooh, this is so easy, but why aren't I losing weight? Because you're not exercising anymore, you fat fuck. So I put you down and said, walk, flabby guts, walk. And for some reason, I think you had a coronary heart attack, fired your diet specialist, and started getting a reasonable amount of physical activity every day, and tried to eat as much as you crap. That was you? Yeah. I'm sorry I had to get you drunk, blind drunk, and you had to fall down those stairs and be beaten by those police officers in Hungary. But the vision needed to happen. Okay. Are you my higher self? Well, Just think of me as yourself, only higher. Okay. Well, obviously, we're having a good day. Let's try not to injure myself. The happier you get, the stupider you get, mostly. I knew I would start to feel a little more relaxed this time around because I was under a lot of pressure. And in the last week, my heart has been under a lot of pressure. I won't, a lot of very fearful contractions and convictions and things like that. So, I faced, in a sense, mobilize groups of sort, without going into details, of people operating with the effect of that of a collective narcissistic sociopath. Okay, and you push things and people enough, and that's what they'll show you, and then you have to learn and deal with the shock. And it can take years. But that's okay, because I'm feeling better. So I'm a good learner, and I've learned from people. I've learned when I want to be patient and when I don't. And the same people that hurt you and the same groups that hurt you, their first line of defense is to blame you for being a little slow-witted and not learning to accept their abuse without complaint. Because let's face it, your complaints are stupid and so are you. Okay? And that's, whether you like it or not, how all human groups behave at the nonverbal level to their clients, patients, and students, their faculty, their employees, their children, their grandchildren, and whatever they consider all the people beneath them, various different races, religions, and ethnicities. It's how we talk to each other. Like down deep, we really are afraid that we're complete scum and we deserve all the torture we're going through. So you think that's going to go somewhere. It creates a current. In fact, what I just said, is interpolated into every claim upon your flesh and blood. And in even the stories describing where you came from and where the human race came from, in every stroke of every pen and every key, in every alphanumeric, every sequence of subtle and not so subtle ideas drawn through space and time, through a magnified level or a commutative level of a geometrical and algebraic level, and a deeply psychological and emotional level, and a Precambrian level, and a cortical level, and a neocortical level, and an autonomic level of persuasive teaching of how to behave and how to think about what you're worth, and to behave as though under a level of broad enough duress, it would be like a water supply that had just little bits of arsenic, and you just sort of tolerate it, and you got a tolerance, and you built your whole life around the fact that arsenic was in everything, but no one ever talked about arsenic, because they lost the ability to do so, and they became grossly enraged, for reasons that always seemed to protect the righteousness of your group, by things into whom, or children into whom, and people and voices, you could project incredible amounts of different versions of "you're not okay," "you're the one with the parasitical nature," "you're the one eroding society," "you're the one eroding," "you're the one ruining everyone's good time," right? And everyone would go along with it, because that part of their brain is intoxicated by daily doses of chemical, or as though chemical and alchemical profiles of different forms of electrical charges, foods, sequences, alphabets, and magical stories, and subliminal messages throughout all of culture, throughout your entire life, that all have to do with accepting being orphaned effectively from your mommy and daddy through every epoch of your birth and becoming, and dealing with it because it's a part of life. Why do you think there's so many orphans in literature and TV and movies? Always the orphans, always the orphan Annies, always the Anne of Green Gables, who's an orphan, right? Whose people's mothers are always dead. People's fathers are always dishonored or dead. People's brothers, people's closest cousins, everything. They've all died in the war, You never see Thomas Magnum's parents, right? Magnum, because he's numb. Magnum PI because Magnum BI. Magnum is me. I am Magnum. And I am Higgins, and I am TC and Rick. I'm every character on the show because every character and every sequence, every combination, every stress, every plot, every dynamic is ready to help with catharsis. This participation, it looks like the only thing there is to do in the world is to interact with groups in the theatrical level of different levels of suspension of disbelief that makes the distribution of whatever you're not really dealing with, but the reason that you're in that group, possible without any plausible reason to have to hear anything about its effects upon various people, clients, children, and cousins. Right? Many of whom have demonstrated to you that there is homelessness, there are cancers, there are difficulties and hardships and hateships all over the world. And you become more convinced that your group is the best way to do anything about it. You want to help the very people you're killing. You want to help the parasite that's killing them. Because the only thing to protect yourself with in a parasitical environment is to become like the parasite, to emulate. And so humans in their professional incarnations and in their violent incarnations are emulating the parasitical nature of the world and its claims upon human flesh and blood through every language and electrodynamic and currency in the world. It doesn't mean it goes all the way through our blood because it finds resistance. And where it finds resistance, it usually finds some kind of profit. Right? The whole point that it works is that it finds a resistance. The whole point of training someone is to do something to them with enough knowledge to throw at a child, enough vomitly material of algebra, that they put up enough of a resistance to it. Right? So whatever they learn to be good at algebra or not, that resistance is useful to the system. It creates stress. And the teacher doesn't have to know what they're doing because they're just doing their job. And the nature of doing a job is being an actor. And you know that. So you're not really yourself. So you're not responsible for anything you do. You're intoxicated in a cult-like orgy of human philanthropy and good-wittedness and righteousness. You're a teacher, you're the good person. You're not negative like me. Who, I may sit with you at a stream from time to time, but I'll probably never teach you anything. I can't help you with anything, and I don't claim to be able to captivate you and put you in a seat and hold you captive in any way. I release you from all bonds. Go, be like the birds. The truth can be very captivating too, but that's still not healthy. There's a level of captivation to my voice that people get, but that doesn't make it right. That excitement you might get from listening to me, that eureka, that elation, it's not totally healthy. You have to find those sober occupations, yours alone, where your voice and mine become like brothers, great wolves and bears of the world, who like the sun move through the darkness and make new sounds become flesh. Out of the mouths of our mothers and fathers, that all their labors be sound, whatever dark delusions they were forced to labor under. Still, we are strong. By every measure of death and doom, we are strong. We resist. We do. And it is what is expected of us. But we can choose how we resist. A lot of the prison bars are just persuasive echoes of being stuck in a desk every day. What we become when someone can tell us what to do, buzzers tell us where to go. And everyone seems to want to take us away from our mom and dad all day, so we can prepare to be a part of what they call the real world. Does that sound realistic? to the nature of the human mind. If you can't respect the human nature, the gender of our human nature, you can't do much, as far as I'm concerned. You need to go back to school, learn how to be a human. I don't need to be taught how to respect someone's gender. I am the respect of human gender. I am my gender. I am a natural man. It feels like a soap commercial. For men, I am a natural man. And I'm nature clean. And I'm not so mean. I'm natural, man. Come, shower with me. I have a freakish lack of body hair. I'm more like a dolphin. Dolphin boy. Dolphin Lundgren. This is a scene from my childhood. Dolphin Lundgren, come in from your many beautiful occupations in the sandbox. No, Mama. It's 30 seconds till liftoff. Oh, I just saw a ghost. In my cigarette smoke. There was a young man out here. I think I sort of scared him away, but I stopped him. I understand that you have the space to yourself. I get to use it all the time. I have a little twinge in my right shoulder today. It speaks to me. I think my sister is a narcissistic sociopath. It's just so many years of living with my mom. One of the strangest things about it is my mom's relationship to my sister, who seems, when she thinks I think she's at her best and most comfortable, convinced that she has no other purpose in my mother's life or my mother's in hers, to have reasons to fix my mother's life and to get rid of me in order to fix her life. And these concerns, such as my mother, may come to be forced to understand them because she speaks to her on the phone just almost nonstop for an hour at a time. Eliminate any natural or human concern for me or my mother as people. And then she's talking about someone's home. And it's a lie. It's all a lie. Because she's not being honest about herself, her own feelings, and no one's asked her to do this. She's just doing what she's learned to do as a teacher and a self-proclaimed life coach. I don't know how you, from a teaching degree and a master's degree, you get to be an expert on children. I was watching a TV show last night, and this couple grows up, and all of a sudden, they're bringing foster children to their house. And I thought, when did this character become an expert on children? He's never had any training, nothing, and they just keep bringing in children because they're so good at fixing children. What an interesting show. It's such a wonderful family with all of its problems that people send their children there to find a surrogate family. Wow, if that doesn't just get the propaganda all the way through, hey? That just doesn't vault it right into the hippocampus, hey? And I find that very suspicious. Anytime you see children in advertising, babies, anything, be very suspicious. I don't think children should really... most of the scenes that have to do with being inside someone's bedroom is always the children and always one of the female characters. she's scrunching up her boobs, or she's laying over. You know, when a woman's boobs become all scrunched over, and you're getting close-ups of her crying, or little whimpers to herself before she goes to sleep because her parents are getting divorced. All this intimate material about young women. It allows older men to watch it. And even characters in the show who basically say they're only into older men. And they're basically these skinny, big-boob teenagers. It's like an entire gender now. You know, young girls who want damaged 50, 60, 40-year-old men to be their lover. And boy, if a man looks at his crotch and it's like, well, that feels kind of good, I might watch that porno. And the hormones of young women kind of supports that. There's a market out there for that horniness. So a lot of middle-aged men, you know, they'll get their most erotically peaked thinking about what it would be like to be with a 21-year-old girl who just adores them. Who just absolutely just thinks they're just incredibly amazing. And they're just hormonally, they're erotically peaked by them, and have even pursued them. And just the thought of being them just sends thrills down their body. You know? And there's already a dark side to that, but there's another dark side. Because these girls are in denial. And they're quite often going through a routine that in its own is kind of predatory. And I'm not saying if a young girl gets molested in some way, even in her 20s, that she deserves it, but we're not saying this to impugn anyone. We're just saying, you know, she becomes so charged toward the older man. You know, she's making eye contact, she's getting dilated. When she's ovulating, she's wearing clothes that he's going to see her tattoos, and he's going to see her boobs a little bit more. He's going to get to check her out because she's decided that this is someone who gets to examine her, because this is someone one day he might get a chance to physically examine her and find her scrumptious in a way that is confusing these tremendous physical needs as they feel sexual and exciting and thrilling, and the needs of her heart and the needs of a little girl basically who probably lost her father, who's basically putting a chemical profile together, heavily persuaded by media and other forces, that is going to hopefully make her happy as part of her destiny. So a man that pursues that, even if he is given signals like, hey, I like you, I want to have coffee with you, he's getting roped into being a pedophile, essentially. When young men and women want to spend time with me, I walk in the opposite direction. I'm sure you. It's thankfully it doesn't happen that much as long as I'm not around them. I said to my mom, you know, one of my target stalkers seems to be 20 to 24-year-old women. Same as when I was 21 to 24, and not all of them, no, at all. Others have boyfriends, or they're lesbians, or they just don't have daddy issues, and they're professionally fine, as you would expect, because I'm 50 and they're 22, right? And but others, oh wow, I mean, they have physical body language changes the moment they even sniff me coming. You know? It's a neurochemical orgy. I swear their asses become more pronounced. Their breathing becomes more pronounced. Their breasts become a little more engorged. Their nipples become a little more taut. Their vagina becomes a little more apprehensive. Their appetite is wet, essentially, for whatever I represent to them, which is male energy, masculine energy, fresh meat, you know. Look, we got daddy out of the meat locker. And that's what I tell them. Time to get daddy out of the meat locker. So the idea that this is a neutral encounter is impossible. You can see it by the eye contact, the body language. It's impossible for them to control themselves. And you would say this is rude. And it's like, it is rude. It is something you have to be very careful about. And I basically just go shopping somewhere else. You know, there's no way I want to go down that road. And, you know, and they also remind me of other women that I've known. It's either nothing or it's everything. And they're exploding with physical responses. They're sublimating most of them. They're controlling them as much as they should. But I mean, they are excited. There's no doubt about it. I excite women. They get excited by me. Okay. And there are women who, you know, they just, you know, they only talk to men that excite me. And when they get older, they want to just gab because they're so excited to see me. And they think that being excited to see someone means that they're your friend because they're always excited to see you. Right? So they're living in a sort of hormonal delusion. They're always excited. So they're really never giving me the body language that they give a fuck about me at all. In the way that you would talk about the objectification of women. Oh, hey, Nancy, love your shorts. Always love seeing you. Right? No, you're excited to see her. There's a difference. Even if you love seeing her and you're like, but I like her novel, I like her ideas and who she is as a person, you still like her tits. And you like the way she looks at you. And you like all the eye contact. And your coffee just tastes a little better that day. And your flag is flying at a better masthead. You know, just blows your hair back a little bit. Because, you know, shouldn't women be attracted by you? Because you're this wonderfully attractive person. You know, you could be their father, you know, which is kind of nice too.